you're like most of us, you like interesting stones and pebbles, and you collect them from rivers and reefs and beaches and things. And occasionally it's nice to mount one to wear as a bit of decoration, like a pendant. Well, that's pretty hard to do professionally, but it's very easy to do with just a bit of copper wire, and it doesn't look too bad either. So let's see what we'd do to make such a pendant. Well, copper wire comes in all sorts of grades, and it's a bit hard to know what you're after, but really, probably for a small stone, you can't do much better than get an old bit of household flex, the sort of cast-off stuff that's used for wiring power points. Because if you split that open, you'll find there are 3 coloured wires inside. The red and the black ones are thick, and you can use those for big stones, but the green one is the one that you're really after. Because if you split that open, and I've done that here, you'll find that it's got a bundle of fine wires inside it. They're the earth wires, and those are terrific for small stones. Let's haul one out and have a look. There we go. Just nice, fine copper wire, but quite strong too. Well, it's a bit crinkly by the time you've done all that, so you really want to start the process by straightening it and toughening it. And I use 2 pairs of pliers, a needle nose pair if I can get them, as well as a stout pair, but really any 2 pairs work. Grab the wire in the stoutest pair you've got and run it through the tightened jaws of the other, and you'll find it straightens up wonderfully. Don't tighten it too much. And it also gets a lot stiffer and tougher, and so it's very good to work with. There we go, 3 goes, and it's ready to roll. Well, I'm going to do a triangular stone because that's the easiest shape to start with. You've got fewer claws, but you can do any size and any number of claws in the same method. First of all, straighten the wire up if it's not quite straight. It might have curved a little. And put the stone on top of it. Make sure that you've got a bit poking out there. And we're going to run that wire underneath that, out and back, out and back, out and back, to make 3 claws, there and there. So the first one we want to make is by bending it just about in the middle. Use the pliers each time. You'll get a much cleaner bend if you do. And that one's going to run out, if I can put the stone on top again, to the middle of that side there. Okay, we want it to poke out just enough to be bent up and hold that stone. So if I make a little mark with a pencil, it'll just mark the copper. There it is. Use my pliers again to double the wire back on itself. And there we go. And don't just leave it as a loop there. Crimp it up with the pliers. Squeeze it really very tight so there's no loop there. And once you've done that, so it doesn't all spring open, hold it in the middle and give that claw, which it now is, a double twist. That'll lock the whole thing up. That's our first claw made. Okay, put him down. Bend the next bit of wire out to the bottom. That's the next claw. Put the stone on top again just to make sure you're getting the distances right. And make another mark about here. And if you repeat that process, you'll, of course, make another claw. Use the pliers, double it back on itself, squeeze it together, hold it in the middle, and give it a double twist. And you're ready then to bend the wire and make the 3rd claw. Well, to speed it up, that's the 3rd claw just about finished. Okay? Keep checking. Let's bend that down. And if you keep checking by putting your stone on top, you'll make sure that you don't make any of the claws too long or too short. Okay, that's going to be just about right. To finish that off, so you don't have a loose bit of scratchy wire to gouge into you, just get that last one and wind it round the top bit. You might have to use the pliers for this. Wind it round a couple of times. There we are. Cut it off as close as you can to the rest of the wire, and then finish the winding with the pliers, and really make sure there isn't a sharp bit of nastiness poking out. Okay, so those are the 3 claws and a long straggly bit up at the top. Well, that's going to be the bit for hanging. So again, straighten it up, make sure the claws are in position. Mark the bit at the top. I'll turn it around so you can see what's happening. Mark the bit at the top where you want the loop to be, and this time bend it over, but don't crimp it, otherwise you won't be able to get a cord through it. Bend it over and give it a couple of twists, and that'll be your hanging loop. Cut off the surplus wire. Well, that's what it looks like. Okay? There it is. And if you put your stone on that, just hold it in your hand, you can probably start the bending of those claws up in your fingers and press them down with something softer than the stone. Plastic's the stuff. It can't mark the stone. Crimp it really hard, and you'll find if you do that, you've got a stone mounted with a hanging loop and securely held at the back. 1, 2, and 3. So you've converted your pebble into a pendant.